premium desk setups. That is the type of desk setup I often see on YouTube. Super minimalistic, highly stylized, and every single device literally costs an arm and a leg. They look incredible, but for most people, they aren't really realistic. At least they weren't realistic for me. So today I want to share my desk setup, a productive setup that I genuinely believe is attainable for most people. And honestly, how much I enjoy sitting down at my desk every single day. And a key thing here, without breaking the bank. So let's get into it. Now, let's start with the foundation, the desk and the chair. And I want to be upfront here. These are not the most premium options out there, and I know that, but they work. And there are some things about them I actually really like and I've come to really appreciate. Starting with the desk. The desk is the IKEA Linman tabletop. It is 150 centimeters wide and 75 centimeters deep. And that depth is generally one of the things I really appreciate about it. It has enough room for both my monitors, keyboard, mice, and still enough space to rest my arms comfortable while working. And the cool thing here is that this isn't the typical IKEA tabletop with the Alex drawers that 90% of creators out there start with. No shade being thrown there, but I just want something different. The krill wheels are what makes this setup different. Being able to roll the desk into different positions gives this room a flexibility that a static desk just doesn't have. In a tiny YouTube studio like this, that changes everything. Different angles, different configurations without rearranging the whole entire room and setup. I think for most people starting out or working with a budget, something like this gets the job done. And the krill wheel upgrade makes a huge difference in such a small space. Now for the chair I sit in every single day, it's the IKEA long felt chair. Design-wise, I really like this chair. The base fabric brings warmth to the room and it doesn't look like a gaming chair at all, which I really appreciate. Now, does it roll perfectly? No. Is it the most ergonomical chair out there? Also no. But once again, it gets the job done on a budget. Now, if there are any desk companies watching this video who wants to save my back, my DMs are open. Genuinely, please. But in all seriousness, if you can invest anywhere here, a proper sit and stand desk and an ergonomical chair is the way to go. And are probably the two upgrades that will make the biggest long-term difference to how you feel after a full day of work. For the full room tour of my studio setup, the Slack panels, the lighting, how the studio came together, I did a dedicated video on that, which will be linked in the description. Now, before we get into the tech and accessories that make this desk feel alive, I think you have to know a little about what I actually do day to day to understand the tech choices that I've made. So I'm a full-time lawyer and a part-time content creator. So everything on this desk needs to earn its place in at least one of those two worlds, and ideally both. That means typing out court cases, doing legal research, client calls on Teams, writing scripts, editing videos, and occasionally gaming. So with that in mind, let's talk about the essential tech that actually live on my desk setup. If you work from home or you're on video calls regularly, this decision matters way more than people give credit for. For me, a webcam is essential for team calls with clients, recording content. The webcam is working across both sides of what I do. And the more important part is that everyone on the other side at the end of those calls can see exactly what your webcam looks like. So the gap between a bad webcam and a good webcam is immediately obvious. The webcam I've chosen to go with is the OBSBOT Tiny Lite. And the first thing that gets you is the image quality of this webcam. This thing shoots 4K, like actual 4K on a webcam. The difference on a call or recording compared to a standard 1080p webcam is just immediately noticeable. The 4K on the OBSBOT Tiny Lite is sharper, more natural, way better in tricky lighting situations like a backlit window. It's got a CMOS sensor, PDAF autofocus, and HDR built in. Then there's the AI tracking. And for anyone who can't sit still when on calls or likes to move around when holding a presentation, this AI feature is genuinely insane and so useful. The camera can locate your face or an object of your choice. You can get up, move around, grab something from across the desk, and the webcam will track you the whole time without you touching it. You can use voice command or hand gestures to trigger it, so it never interrupts the workflow. The size of the OBSBOT Tiny Lite is generally insane for what it does. It's so tiny and well built that it just disappears in your setup without adding any clutter. Audio is also way better than you expect from a webcam. Not a replacement for dedicated audio setup, but for calls and casual recordings, it handles it without needing anything extra on the desk. Once again, I can't stress the build quality of this device. It's genuinely so good. Just under $200 for a 4K 30 FPS with AI tracking, with an insane build quality at that size for a work from home setup or a creative setup, it's just a solid value. If you're interested in the OBSBOT Tiny Lite, link will be in the description. The monitors. For both the legal work and the content side, this is honestly where most of my day lives. My main monitor is the MSI Mag 321 QD OLED, a 32-inch 4K 165Hz monitor, and this is my first ever OLED monitor, and I totally understand the hype of OLED now. The blacks are insane, the contrast is insane, the colors just pop in a way I wasn't prepared for coming from a regular panel. For gaming, it's absolutely stunning. Fast motion stays sharp, colors are vivid, and the response time is just instant. So playing fast-paced shooters like Battlefield or cinematic game like Spider-Man just feels amazing. For work, it's great for long sessions, easy on the eyes, plenty of screen real estate. It also supports HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort, and USB-C with one cable, so it connects to pretty much everything I have without any fuss. Now for editing, it does the job, but I'm going to be honest here. The color space isn't the most accurate, which is actually part of the reason why the second monitor on my desk setup actually exists. Which brings me to the Arzopa Z3FC, a 16-inch 1440p 180Hz IPS panel, and I want to give this one proper time because it genuinely deserves it. At the desk setup, this ultra portable monitor does three things for me. For work, I'll have court documents on the main monitor and research pulled up on the Arzopa right next to it. Having that second screen for productivity is something I genuinely can't go back from. For content and gaming, the 180Hz refresh rate on a 1440p IPS panel at this size is just a really enjoyable experience. Fast, smooth, and the image quality for watching content is genuinely great. And for content creation, this is where the more accurate color reproduction of the IPS panel comes in. What I see on the Arzopa screen is closest to what the final edit actually looks like, which really matters to someone doing YouTube and color grading. What I really love about this monitor is the versatility beyond the desk. It comes with me everywhere. The coffee shop, paired with my iPad, the Xbox RG Ally, it works with all of it. So it's not just sitting at my desk looking pretty, it's earning its place every single day in more than just one single way. If a second monitor is something you're considering, the Arzopa monitor is generally worth checking out. So go ahead and grab yourself the Arzopa Z3FC monitor using my link in the description. Now, the brain of the whole setup, and this is the one I genuinely get excited to talk about because I think the M4 Mac Mini might be the best value Mac you can buy right now, especially if you're like me and you spend most of your time at your desk. I traded in my M3 MacBook Pro 13-inch for the M4 Mac Mini, and honestly, I have zero regrets. The 13-inch MacBook was great, but I'm at my desk the vast majority of the time anyway, and the M4 Mac Mini just makes way more sense here. It gives me more or less similar performance with a smaller footprint, and the base 256GB model I picked up, which Apple has since discontinued, I'm really glad I grabbed it when I did. To connect everything to the M4 Mac Mini, I'm running the Oracle 10-in-1 docking station. A docking station is something that sounds really unglamorous until you actually have it and actually use it day to day. All my external SSDs lives here. My keyboards, mice, and other peripherals run through this thing. One cable from the Oracle 10-in-1 docking station to the M4 Mac Mini, and the whole desk setup is suddenly alive. Dropping into an editing session or a work session becomes completely frictionless, and that feeling of zero friction at your desk is honestly underrated. On paper, the M4 Mac Mini feels like a compromise option, but in real life, at a setup like this, It's the smartest choice. And for the price, it's generally really hard to argue with. All right, this is the segment I enjoy the most because it's where the setup actually gets some personality. You see, I was never a keyboard person. Genuinely, I just didn't think about it. And then I got into Newfie keyboards and that changed pretty quickly. I've got the full Air V3 series, the 100%, the 75, and the 65% keyboards. And I also have the Note 75 as well. So depending on my mood at my desk setup, I just swap between these 4 keyboards. It's the way they sound, the way they feel, the profile of each one. They're all a bit different and I enjoy that. It sounds a bit indecisive, but honestly, it just keeps things interesting at the desk. And when I'm tapping chord cases for hours or editing, having a great keyboard really matters. Now, if you've been paying close attention throughout this entire video, you might have noticed something. The desk mat changing, and that has been fully intentional. At my desk setup, I have the KDB Fans Black Snail and 2 of the Substance Matte R2, and I often rotate them with different keyboard combinations. What I really like about KDB Fans desk mat specifically is the quality. They roll out completely flat, no curling edges, no rough finishes, and the surface for the mice just feels right. Once you've used a premium desk mat, you feel the difference straight away, and I actually recommend people investing in a proper good desk mat. For the mice, I'm using the trusty MX Master 2S. Still great, still no reason to upgrade in my opinion. And here's the thing about the whole layer of this setup. The keyboards, the mats, the stuff your hands are on every single day. It's honestly the most affordable way to refresh your desk without buying anything crazy. Swap the mat, swap the keyboard, and the whole vibe of your desk just changes. That's worth knowing. Now, the finishing layers, the small stuff that makes a setup feel complete rather than just functional. The speakers I'm using are the Logitech Z207, and I want to be upfront, these are cheap speakers, but they generally surprise me for the price. The sound quality is way better than you expect, and they fit the desk pretty well without taking up much space at all. The thing is, I am no audiophile, but in my ears, these get the job done. The speakers, together with the M4 Mac Mini and the monitors, sit on top of this custom IKEA monitor stand as a combination of the lac shelf with the Eckert legs. In my opinion, this custom DIY looks pretty neat. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I've also got a little wooden stand where I keep my AirPods Max, AirPods, and glasses, all in one spot. This stand helps me keep everything accessible without the desk looking cluttered. Finally, I have a 3-in-1 charging station for my iPhone, AirPods, and my Apple Watch. Having one dedicated spot for all of those devices just removes a tiny bit of friction every single morning. And it also helps the desk looking clean by removing cable clutter. And that's kind of the whole point of all of this, honestly. None of the individual pieces makes the setup. It's every layer working together, considered, attainable, built around how you actually live and work. Not just somewhere you sit, but somewhere you actually want to be. I'm always looking for ways to improve my setup. So if you guys have any recommendations or tips and tricks or devices I should add to my setup, let me know in the comment section. Now, everything I've just shown you lives on this desk, but the room it sits in, that was a whole other project. I built this YouTube studio from scratch in a 3x2 meter space, and the one thing that transformed it more than anything else wasn't the lights, it wasn't the desk, and it definitely wasn't the chair. It was something most people completely overlook when designing a small room, and once I figured it out, the whole space just came together. That video is up next. And hey, if you've enjoyed this video, why not smash the like button and maybe even hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.